So welcome everyone to the first blockchain meetup of the new decade. You know, as you guys should know, 2021 is actually the official start of the decade, not 2020. So that's been my go-to reply to anyone who wishes us a happy new year this year. It's my little Seinfeld cranky reply, but it's accurate. So yeah, I mean, we're gonna hit the ground running in this new decade. Answer all your blockchain related technical and business questions today. So this is our open office hours. We do this twice a month, every other Monday, the first and third Monday of every month. So we have some regulars here. Then we also, once in a while, we have speakers, but generally this is just open office hours, asking your questions. Some people have long running projects. So they come and show their updates, so to speak, so that they have someone to be answerable to. As opposed to just, being a solopreneur or whatever they are and just not, working on something just for years, not getting anywhere. At least they have a sounding board of their peers here at these open office hours. The other thing that we do is regular conferences and actual workshops. Those will be scheduled as well coming up. And our next February is going to be a really busy time for us. As some of you know, we host the film festivals, we host conferences, we host hackathons. So February is going to be pretty busy. We have almost every week we have a large conference we're hosting or a film festival, etc. So yeah, be on the lookout. And we're going to welcome everyone here today. I know you guys are geographically dispersed. Even though we started our meetup in Miami, we have meetups now in Atlanta, LA, San Francisco, and people. Last meetup, a lot of people came from New York City. I think they're being cross-posted by different coding schools because, most meetups, blockchain meetups are just, talking about the basics, right? But we're the only meetup that I know of that regularly meets to answer your technical questions, your programming questions. So, yeah, so it's really, really nice that the coding schools started sharing our meetup. So that being said, we're going to be, most of the people are going to get here in 25 minutes. We have some visitors from Broward County library system, which is, they're actually one of the most advanced library systems in the world. They're the only one that has different virtual reality, augmented reality headsets for the public, cameras, really expensive, nice equipment, green screens. And now they want to get into blockchain. So we were their partners for game development, actually. We used to host twice a month, half-day workshops there to teach people Unity, game development, etc., virtual reality last year. And this year, I guess we'll be partnering with them to teach, blockchain concepts to the general public. I think that'll be more intro stuff. At these meetups here, we'll get more technical. I think the general public, obviously they're welcome to come to these, but the stuff we do at Broward Library will be a little bit more high level, I think. All right, so let's go around the room, introduce yourselves, and as people come in, we'll slowly introduce them as well. I expect they won't come until another 20 minutes. But yeah, Vince, why don't you start off?
Golang developer, iOS, Android native, and doing Flutter. I just started getting into Rust, and I've been monkeying around with blockchains, for quite a while now because I want to integrate it into some personal projects that I'm doing. So right now I'm kind of focused on EOS IO. I'm taking all the courses, and I've been experimenting with Golang libraries to actually connect with EOS blockchains. It's kind of interesting.
That's great. Yeah, maybe you can share your screen later to give the people who are new or watching a live stream or the recording later, basically how you got started. So I know you've been coming for a little bit now. So it's nice to see that you've been getting into it. All right, Michelle.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle. I'm originally from Aruba. I am AWS cloud engineer, and I'm working for a company called Progress Rail out in Texas, where we are building an autonomous driving strategy for Class 1 locomotives. I started playing with blockchain about a month ago, since I really want to start just understanding what this technology is. So I've been taking just Udemy courses. and now I'm working on building my first contract. That's kind of where I'm at today.
That's great. So the one reason why we do these intros is also how we can figure out what to talk about during these office hours. Since you're talking about self-driving, we'll talk about we actually have a meetup series called AI Blockchain Alliance. So we normally host those in University of Miami. Obviously, it's all virtual now. So a lot of those are live streaming virtual reality, actually. So I'll share everyone the playlist, and we'll talk about how AI and blockchain can be used for self-driving. In fact, we're probably the world leaders in that here in Miami. So pretty interesting concepts and a lot of stuff going on there. In fact, one of our partners just got a reply from Elon Musk a few days ago. So I'll share the reply he gave us. All right, Sandeep. And Sandeep, feel free now to talk about your awesome New Year's trip.
Yeah, hi, everyone. This is Sandeep. So I work as a SQL developer for one of the healthcare companies in Tennessee. The company is MindAccess. They do work on home healthcare stuff. In the past, I worked for one of the company here in Miami called ChenMate, the database developer. So I haven't been into blockchain yet, but there's still some interest working with Praveen and all those stuff. And recently, I have a trip to India. Just came back yesterday night. So we flew to Delhi from here, and we have to drive all of the mountains there to Manali, Mussoorie, all the places. So we have a fun time driving on the dark mountains, on the nights, on the bikes. And the roads are not like here for us. It's all, yeah, there's still buildings, so it's fun.
Yeah, it's kind of remind me of Zen and the art of motorcycle maintenance. He took an epic trip. In fact, a lot of the gurus that come from India to the U.S., usually their backstory somehow involves, taking a motorcycle across the Himalayas.
Yes.
So he's on that route, it seems like, accidentally perhaps. But yeah, so Sandeep and I have been talking a lot about healthcare blockchain applications, and that's one of the things that we are doing at ZenBlocks is, we're what's called a block producer or a guild member. So, Ethereum or Bitcoin, right? There's the concept of mining, right? And miners get like rewards for maintaining the network. In EOS.io chains, there's 21 entities that run the network, and they get paid daily. And the 21 entities are based upon global voting. So people who create open source software like we do, we create some of the popular wallets and other software. We do a lot of gaming things. People vote for us basically, and they pay us daily. And there's also grants as well and other things. So we actually recommend startups that are part of our ecosystem for the grant programs. And some of our startups actually got grants. One of them was Art Hero, like Miss Hazel Griffiths up in Palm Beach. She created an augmented reality art scavenger hunt, and we recommended her for a Telos grant. She actually got that. So already HackerOne grant. And that was in tokens, but there's the Block One VC grant fund out in Hong Kong, and we have direct connections there as well. So, so basically, if you have a good idea, either we can partner with you or just make an introduction. I mean, obviously, it has to be on, something blockchain related and stuff. But with Sandeep, it's a little bit more tighter relationship where we're actually working together directly. We have a pre-existing relationship with him. But yeah, obviously this is all about actually making applications, not just like talking about stuff, actually doing stuff. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Vince, why don't you get started and just, this is Sandeep's first time. Maybe you can talk about like what you're working on, how you got started, and then if you can share your screen about some of the applications or the tutorials you did.
I don't have anything on this computer to show. I wasn't expecting to show anything.
Okay, that's fine.
Really, I should have, but I don't. So I don't really have much.
That's fine. You can just talk about it. That's fine.
Really, the only thing I'm trying to do is an immutable database for HOAs and yacht associations. So that there's going to be a lot of chaos in those particular industries. From year to year, it's kind of debatable whether the financials and documents and contracts actually get passed on to the next board of directors. So I want to change that. I want to create immutable database for specifically that. But I'm an iOS and Android developer, so there'll be mobile apps specifically for the unit owners, an iPad version just for the board members. I'm integrating it with IoT stuff that I also develop hardware as well, mostly ESP type stuff. So cameras and things like that. I'd like to incorporate, instead of just recording images to a database someplace, we'd actually have the option to record images directly to the blockchain. But so I actually have a couple of different working prototypes going. I just wasn't prepared to show them today. And so I'm going to get a pitch deck going and ultimately try to get some credits from AWS and stuff like that. I forgot to mention I'm also an AWS architect associate. So ideally I can find somebody that will give me some credits in on AWS. But and that's what I'm up to.
Okay, yeah, great. Well, yeah, it's good motivation. You know, you've been working pretty hard on this for a long time now. So congratulations on
Not that
keeping the momentum.
Only about 6 weeks off in the month, so, but we made a lot of progress. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, before this, you were working on something similar, right? But then you added a blockchain to it.
Oh,
you talked about
that's
mobile apps with me a couple of years ago or something, but.
Oh, that was something
yeah. Okay.
Totally different. You know,
okay.
And it wasn't even blockchain related. So this is actually one of my first blockchain projects.
All right, man. Cool. Well, yeah, welcome back, and good start to the year. I think we'll keep the momentum going. All right, let's move on to Michelle. So I'm gonna share my screen, and we'll talk about self-driving and AI, and then we'll talk about Sandeep for healthcare. And then by then, I think we'll probably have the people from Broward County Libraries and stuff, and they want to talk about more general topics. All right. So, actually, there's one new person. Let's just introduce the new person, and then I'll start the screen share or the. As soon as Miguel's audio connects. Hey, Miguel. You're muted, Miguel. All right. Well, while he's figuring that out, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
All right. So right now we'll talk about how you integrate AI into blockchain, specifically for driving applications. So people like Miguel who just joined, I'm gonna put my Twitter in the chat right now, so you guys can follow along if you like. And the people watching at home, I will put it in the YouTube. But anyway, so I'll get to that. So this is from a year ago, January 8, 2020. We were at CES in Vegas before the lockdown, and this is we actually host the official Unreal Engine user group for South Florida in addition to Unity. So we have a big Unity meetup later this month as well. But a lot of things we do with Unity and Unreal are actually like not just gaming, but we do like other applications. So with this Unreal application, this is a demonstration of using Unreal Engine to control a car. So in this case, it's using a Magic Leap headset. So Magic Leap is one of the local unicorns here, and we're one of their only 2 user groups around the world. There's one in Japan, one in South Florida. So this case, we're using Magic Leap to visualize the car dashboard, all the controls, and we're using ultra haptics, the ultrasound-based controls, basically to feel the controls. So literally, there's ultrasound. I'm actually feeling the knobs and turning the knobs, and I'm controlling the dashboard. So this is we should have had another screen, to show what I'm seeing, but I'm kind of describing it out loud. So here it is. This is from CES last year. Whoops.
collaboration between Luxoft and Ultra.
So you guys know, so Ultra Haptics is a combination of Leap Motion, you know, the people that do the hand tracking system in midair, and Ultra Haptics, which is ultrasound, and they changed their name to Ultra Leap. So this is Ultra Leap, and this is their room at CES. And Chris Wren is their developer evangelist. He's a friend of ours in Silicon Valley.
So what we're looking at here is a demo collaboration between Luxoft and Ultraleap. And it's a car dashboard. And most of the content here is all Luxoft, and their integration with our technology is all Luxoft. They're using a Magic Leap headset, as you can see. And you can see Pravesh reaching out and interacting using his fingers. And on screen here, you can see some of the things he's interacting with. And on the music menu, what he's interacting with right now, I'm gonna back up a little bit so you can see that.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
So if you reach out, you can kind of swipe left and right on those music elements. And you should feel some haptics. And that's our hand tracking doing the haptics application there. And some other things, there's some buttons down below you can look at. There's a music and a fan button. The fan button's pretty fun. Why don't you try that one? There you go. See if you can actually touch that display there in front of you and move the fan left and right. So if you actually touch that display and move it, the fan should follow you around, yeah? So the fan is actually working and it should be following you left and right as you move across that display. Right?
The music is working.
And so I can't see what you're looking at. Oh, there you go. And so there's some mapping functionality there you can play around with. Some navigation, obviously the music selection. But yeah, this is a great example of just an integration from Luxoft, top tier auto integrator, designer, UX designer for automotive. And they decided to use our tech. You can see our Leap Motion device and hand tracking on top for the haptic application and the music app. And yeah, we were just really lucky to kind of have a partner like this. We're going to, pretty much headset agnostic. You can see we've got, there's a Vario over there. We've got Valve Index over here.
What is this big device right here?
All right, so I'll just show one more video, then we'll talk about this, and then we'll talk about how blockchain integrates into this. So obviously that wasn't we weren't talking about blockchain there, but we did do meetups about how that could be used with blockchain. But let me just show the Elon Musk thing here. Oh, this is cool. This is we did a grant application with Magic Leap and Jeremy Piven, the guy from Entourage. All right, so Comma AI. So these guys, so the founder of Comma was actually living in the Crypto Castle in San Francisco. I know the Crypto Castle now is in Miami Beach. So and he's huge into DIY, do-it-yourself, self-driving cars. So originally they built a kit to basically a bolt-on kit for anyone to have self-driving onto their car. It's almost like a buy your own Garmin GPS thing that you put it on. But then they got hit by the different federal agencies saying you can't sell that to the general public yet. So instead, what they did was they created a Kickstarter type kit that, they're marketing it for other purposes, but wink, wink, we know what we're going to be using it for. So just like I'm sure your go-karts in Homestead, Michelle, there's probably a lot of that going on there too. No one asks. So basically, Comma, so this is what they tweeted to Elon December 31st. Elon Musk, we hear you are extremely confident that you'll have level 5 next year. No longer need to pay attention at all. Level 5 driving. Want to wager $10,000 on that? We think you'll win, but not that fast. So normally they would say one Bitcoin, but they didn't want to muddy the waters because they're huge into crypto like a lot of us are. But so Elon Musk replied on January 1st. Tesla full self-driving work at safety level well above that, which I didn't know there was a safety level above 5, but I guess there is. That of the well above that of the average driver this year. That I'm confident. Can't speak for regulators though. So this is what we're doing in Miami. So as you guys, or Michelle, you know, there's a full self-driving track in Orlando, but that Orlando track is actually a little bit overkill. What we're doing in Miami with Ford Motor out in Weston and Broward County, they actually have their self-driving division here. I think they moved from Arizona, and they're actually driving. They've been driving for years on the city streets of Miami, and there's a lot of support here in South Florida for self-driving cars, which they lost that support in Arizona. In fact, there's laws against a lot of that stuff now with different things that happened over there. And we have a very friendly mayor in Miami, and he just started following us on Twitter just a few days ago as well. So we're pretty lucky. Yeah, he's huge into crypto. He came to the launch of the blockchain center, and obviously this too. So this is our unpacking of the Comma AI device, our unboxing. You see how small it is, right? It all comes in one package. And I'll explain why it's so small in a second after you see what it is. Public handed device. I don't know why people like these videos so much, but these unboxing videos are really popular on the internet, so I had to do one. So you see the front side was the OBD2 port, and the back side is USB. And what this is the world's highest speed OBD2 port device. Where normally, there's a lot of self-driving meetups, open source meetups in San Francisco and LA, but it's kind of painfully slow. You can't really do things in real time. Even when you connect something OBD2, you're just getting basics like what's your temperature, right? You're not doing anything nearly fast enough for self-driving. But what Comma AI did with Panda is they did something that's super high-speed bus, basically, from your OBD2 port directly to your Linux laptop. So the way this works is you put your Linux laptop on your passenger seat, and you connect this to your Linux laptop, and you get real-time data from your car. Just like if you guys ever drive in a Tesla and you're able to hack into it to do self-driving diagnostic mode, like there's a lot of YouTube videos, people doing that now and getting all the Easter eggs. You can get all the real-time data that comes from your car. And what we're doing basically around Miami is a concept called ghost driving, where basically, we're collecting as much data as we can from this device and from other things we put in your car, whatever they want to put on cameras and stuff. But it all has to be integrated into one seamless thing, just like Tesla would have it integrated where they have a 360 camera along with their vehicle diagnostics and they're mapping the roads. So that's what we're doing as a kind of open source type project is, not just Miami, but a lot of places around the world, people are like mapping their city streets so that later on other people who want to use it can also, get the ghost drive basically and see what all the roads are for their car where they have to remap it. So it's kind of an open source project, and like any open source project, there's a community behind it, there's Slack. So obviously everyone is involved to get involved. So now we'll talk about what the blockchain aspects is. So the thing that the problem with self-driving cars that happened in Arizona, why Uber got banned there, was they had a lot of bad data, bad AI. Because AI is it's still a computer algorithm. It's being fed by data. So it's a concept of like garbage in, garbage out. They had bad data and they're making poor decisions because the AI is trained on bad data. That's just one symptom. There's other things that are going on too as well. There was a little bit of negligence as well. But just talk about the AI aspect. It was too much of a black box for public regulators to be comfortable with. So there was no way to figure out, at that point, how an AI arrived at a decision to basically run over a pedestrian in effect, because it wasn't an accident. The AI almost did it on purpose, so to speak. So that's how it was trained. So what blockchain can do, let me share. So this is our playlist for all of our AI Blockchain Alliance meetups. So if you go to YouTube, My Transmedia playlist, click on AI Blockchain Alliance, click on full playlist. I'll put this in the chat right now so you guys can follow along. So we hosted we have 26 videos on here so far, and you guys feel free to, where's this chat here? Oh, chat, cool. Feel free to save this if you want. So some of these videos are actually like private videos, but if you see them on a public playlist, you can actually view them. So this might be the only place you can actually, so these aren't like on Google or anything, these are private, unless somehow Google can also figure out how to index playlists. I guess YouTube's owned by them, but so some of these videos are a little bit are double posted. One of them is in VR, and the other one is regular. So if you have a VR headset, or if you just want to use the YouTube app, you can play that in VR. So let me just show you what that looks like here first. Private. So this video and this video are both the same thing. One's in VR. So you can like use your mouse to turn around or go full screen. If you don't have a phone or headset, you can do the same thing. So this video was taken, filmed at University of Miami.
Guys, well, good evening. How you doing?
So we did this in partnership with the Government Blockchain Alliance, our association. So in this case, we talked about identity management, but that was the high level topic. Then we got into basically self-driving as well at some point in the video. I'll try to find the exact time code so you don't have to go through it all, Michelle. But basically what we're doing is the original thing we were talking about with identity management, that was for healthcare, Sandeep. Then we got into basically how you get into anti-redlining or anti-racism, so to speak, where, in the past, when people were saying they were discriminated against by bank loan officers or whoever they were complaining about, there was no real evidence, to say it was a personal decision, right, by a loan officer to not give you a loan. So the way, the banks got away with it is, they would do redlining, right? They wouldn't like say, we don't like you because of your race or something else that was illegal to discriminate against. They just basically they wouldn't give loans in certain zip codes, so to speak. But it was the same effect, right? It was redlining. So, and that became, discouraged. I mean, it was basically very common, but now obviously it's very discouraged now on a legal basis. Well, that's what AI is being used for now too, where, on the, basically AI is, it's been shown that it's been discriminatory against certain groups, which, and you don't have to, and the people who are using the AI saying, well, it's not me, it's not my personal decision to exclude this person or to, to target this one individual. It's the AI made a decision, it wasn't me. Our hands are clean, or our corporation's clean. And so the AI became a new form of redlining, basically, and without any sort of tracking of how the AI made a decision or how the AI was fed data. It was basically very defensible, and things weren't changed. So what we talked about at this meetup with the Government Blockchain Alliance or Association was how to basically track the data that's being fed into the AI, as well as track the intermittent decisions that a neural network or an AI takes to reach a decision. So it's not a complete, complete opening the black box, what's the point of that? And you don't need an AI, but at least it gives you some tracking. And the blockchain aspect of that is it become, basically the intermediate metadata of how AI reached a decision or how the AI is created exists on the blockchain. And that data can be saved forever. In fact, the new person coming in from Broward County might be interested in that as well. Hey, all right, that's Sheldon right there. So the third thing is with the Hey, Sheldon Marino, we'll introduce you in a second. Let me just finish this one thought. And Sheldon, I think this is very related to topic you'd be interested in. So, in the third aspect of beyond redlining for AI is the self-driving for Michelle. So basically, you saw, when we do ghost driving in Miami, we're feeding data, road data, and we're feeding other information to train the AI, train the self-driving cars. And so on the one hand, that's basically how Uber was, it wasn't just illegal, so to speak, or immoral. It was basically a way for them to be like very lazy for their programmers or their management, saying that, we're just going to have like a safety driver behind the Uber cars in Arizona, and that's going to take care of all of our problems, right? And the safety driver, wasn't paying attention himself, basically. I think that they were actually cited for a traffic violation when they had a vehicle fatality because he basically was playing a video game or something. But the fact is, with a self-driving car, you're not always going to have a safety driver anyway, eventually. So, you can't blame it all on the safety driver. It turns out that their AI was also faulty, and the programmers themselves, whether they knew or not, they didn't have the tools to really like decipher what was happening. So there's some obvious, flaws, right? Where basically you're taking a bush almost, right? A bush and making the bush the same as a soft human target, so to speak. So, basically, they didn't really weigh they gave equal value to things that weren't equally valuable, to human society. But from a car point of view, the car doesn't know between a pedestrian and a bush, where it should. I mean, it kind of did, but like the AI didn't weight it properly. So those type of things is even the engineers would have had, or product managers would have had some advantages in programming their system if they had the tools, and also if they're allowed to build the tools too. Because I'm sure Uber under the previous management, they're kind of very much a swashbuckling company. If they built the tools, they probably would have realized the regulators would have, made them want to use it, right? And they didn't want all that regulation. So, anyways, so that's what this AI is used for. And the way you actually physically use this, Michelle, this is blockchain open for office hours, technical office hours. It's not just about talking about stuff in theory. So basically, the next step to actually implement this is to put this on blockchain. And the easy way to do this, if you want to get started today, is you go to wordproof.io. So this is one of the applications that we helped build. This is the world's #1 WordPress plugin for blockchain plugin for WordPress, and we did some meetups at Nova University and showing people how to use this. But it's pretty easy to get started, basically. And what it's doing is it allows you to basically hash any sort of post you have on WordPress into blockchain, right? So basically, you get a timestamp that you're the first person to post that video, first person to write that article, and that since that timestamp is on blockchain, is inalterable. You can prove that. You can't, even if you change one word or one period in a hash, it's a different hash. So you can't just and they actually, after we helped them, they got a bunch of grants. They just got a couple $1 million from the European Union. They're based in Amsterdam, but they come to Miami as well. So you guys can meet them at some point as well. So basically, taking something like this, you can just create like a WordPress article and take the data that you would have fed into the self-driving algorithm and put it onto a WordPress. You can make a WordPress article and hash that, and this will allow you to get started today if you wanted to. So, anyways, and then we'll just let new people introduce themselves. Then Michelle, you can ask your questions. So Sheldon, why don't you welcome? I know it's your first time, and we've been talking for a while.
Let me know if you can hear me. I'm trying this new microphone setup here. I don't know how good it is in here, and I have to wear this because I'm in public right now. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. Well, I'm the Senior Librarian of Creation Station Business, which is the library's free co-working space. And I'm here because I do want to speak to someone about doing an introductory class on blockchain and Bitcoin, because I think there's a lot of people curious in our community and there's not a lot of introduction to it. I mean, I myself own some portion of Bitcoin and I didn't know for years you could just buy fractional shares. So we're all learning, and I'm looking for someone with the expertise to just go out and let the public know.
Sure, man. I mean, it's a good time of year too, because January typically is when Miami or South Florida becomes the cryptocurrency center of the world. Miami Blockchain Week is usually in January. And February, we have a lot of conferences we're hosting in Broward County and stuff. So Sheldon is also helped us with a lot of the workshops we created at the Creation Station for virtual reality, augmented reality, game development as well. So welcome to the new aspect of what we're talking about now, Sheldon. So Marina, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name is Marina. I'm one of the founding members of a Free State project. So I've been into Bitcoin since third Thursday of June in 2009. I'm trying to work on some infrastructure for the blockchain. Right now, I'm trying to solve the problem of oracles, i.e., identity is kind of a problem that would allow you to be able to tell that it's not the same. The two wallets do not belong to the same person.
Great. Yeah, I think, did you see the identity management VR video? I'll post the direct link right here. This is our edition, but then there's a regular edition as well. Yeah, so yeah, I think that a little bit goes into what we're going to talk to Michelle about as well, the AI blockchain as well. I mean, identity management is huge for AI and blockchain. So the way that works is,
when you're talking about AI, you're not really talking about AI. You're talking about just statistical analysis, right?
No, well, in terms of here, I have a picture that explains it, but so yeah, Marina, welcome back. I know you've been to several meetups already, but let me
You're just talking. You're talking about machine learning, basically.
Yeah, but we have to add when you add the AI aspect to it, it becomes something a little bit different, the intersection. But we have an explanation here at a previous meetup and a slide. The slide is pretty good.
Are you doing anything with TensorFlow?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking anybody, including Robin.
Go ahead, Marina. I think that you can answer that.
No. I'm not trying to do something with something. I'm trying to solve one of the fundamental problems of a blockchain. Because as soon as we be able to create decentralized oracles, most of the intermediaries like Airbnb, Ubers, whatever, would go away. The only reason they exist is because for now, we don't have decentralized oracles that we can count on.
I've actually been thinking about that quite a bit myself. Like, I'm not a big Ether fan, just I don't like the whole idea of proof of work.
Oh, it's not a question of Ether or Schmitter or whatever. It is a fundamental problem of every blockchain because you can have, let's say you use somebody for an oracle and they've been acting well, the first 100 times, and then they fuck up.
Yeah,
What stops them from starting a new wallet and starting from scratch instead of having bad reputation? And that's why. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Can you define Oracle?
It's basically a validator for the blockchain. Like if I want to, let's say I have a smart contract on a chain, that every time I get more than 10 inches of snow, you're supposed to come and plow. Let's say I'm okay with using the regular weather channels for validators that there was more than 10 inches of snow. How can I be sure before the contract gets executed that you actually didn't plow my driveway? I need an oracle that would tell me that my driveway was plowed, right?
So that's the, can you define a validator?
Can I define a validator? Somebody who validates the action to be performed
By an oracle?
by whoever you have a contract with. In a smart contract, generally, somebody does something and they get paid. So the get paid problem is solved in digital currency, right? Because it's all on a chain. You can see who got paid what, when, how, and why, right? Now you need something that would validate the other side of the contract, i.e. performance of kind of services, or they sent in you some goods or something. Something that validates that the contract was performed and therefore the funds can be released. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would have said the same thing. I was just trying to understand what you're trying to solve. So.
I'm trying to solve the inability of somebody to be a bad actor on a chain, and then instead of suffering the consequences that nobody would use them as a validator, is to just start a new wallet and start all over from scratch.
Hey guys, can you guys see this screen?
Yeah.
Oh, still screen. Yeah. So this is the slide we usually show when we're trying to describe like what AI blockchain alliance is. Basically, you know, it's what's the emergent behavior when you combine these two technologies. You combine AI and blockchain that you can't do if you just had AI and blockchain separately, basically, and that's what we're doing here. So in case of oracles, there's actually huge. We actually got started with this concept of AI blockchain alliance because of the oracles, right? Because of the cost of oracles on chain. So basically, AI is probabilistic and blockchains are deterministic, right? So when you combine the probabilistic and the deterministic, you know, basically that's what gives it emergent behavior. And the practical use cases and the actual like financial use cases from a crypto startup point of view is in Oracle. So when we got started doing this, Oracle's, I'm not sure latest costs, you know, it might actually be higher now. Basically an Oracle call, basically to get data into a smart contract was like, you know, I'm just pulling a number out, I don't remember exactly, it was like 10 cents or something, right? But then to get it validated, basically get it like almost notarized, like having human look at it, you know, it was more like in the dollar range, dollars, right? You have human intervention. And that kind of like, on one hand, solved maybe didn't solve it, but like, you know, for example, if you have a fantasy sports application, right? You're trying to determine like who won a game in order to validate your sports betting smart contract. If you just put in a feed from Yahoo Sports or something too, Yahoo Sports have been known to have bad data, you know, and they're not the originator all the time as data as well. They get it from other third-party sites. So who do you pick in order to put the data into your smart contract platform? Because this is like real money. And then also the concept of like, you know, what if there's bad actors, right? What if someone spoofs the Yahoo data site for your smart contract, right? So that's where the concept of like human intervention, human eyeballs notarizing the data comes into play as well. But then that's expensive, right? So the concept that we originally came up with for AI blockchain alliance was training the AI basically to basically validate the data for you. Basically, this you know, if it's an outlier type data point, it seems unrealistic, you know, then the AI can catch that. But you don't have to go have a human eyeball to look at each data point itself. So basically, you can get. So from a startup point of view, you can charge more than the 5 cents, but you can charge less than the $5 that a human being would and plus then you have the greater usage as well, because you're basically getting something that's semi-notarized, you'll have more probability of success, or at least more trustworthiness when you add the AI without the cost of having a human look at it and the slow throughput of having a human look at it. So that's the original concept, but then obviously we moved way beyond the Oracle concept as well. But Oracles are definitely like a high value, high revenue potential use case for anyone who wants to build it. So definitely see why you got into that, Marina.
So you've never worked with TensorFlow at all?
So TensorFlow is something, we do a lot we use TensorFlow JS basically. So when we did, we have these blockchain hackathons, right? So generally, when someone does something with JavaScript in pseudo JavaScript or JavaScript itself, they use TensorFlow JS to make the front end. These hackathons are generally 2-day events, so you don't have all day or all month to create these things. They stick with TensorFlow JS. But I'm not sure if that question was to me or someone else, though. Is that to Marina?
No, it was for you. I was just kind of curious how you create your models. And in TensorFlow, this sounds like a TensorFlow problem, and you actually create tensors. You basically take a scenario and you turn that into a tensor, and that becomes part of your model. That's how the tensor model trains itself.
Yeah, it sounds like you're pretty familiar with it, so you can probably explain it better than I could. But then getting back into a little bit the Michelle's question about the self-driving cars and stuff, self-driving AI, obviously with the regulations, we can't just, do that in public. What we could do in public was, we could use robots, right? I know Michelle uses, you said you use go-karts, right? But we have the robotics lab in Boca Raton that we have like a little self-driving track with like small cars. In fact, Sheldon, we were going to do that last year for the Super Bowl at Create Station, but then obviously a lot of other stuff happened too around that time. We're going to create this track at the library and have the self-driving cars be trained. And we have the whole system set up already at FAU Robotics Lab with the mini stoplights, the mini everything too, and showing how in real time. They actually have a go-kart that does this, goes around campus. But in our case, what we did wind up doing instead is we have a robot dog. I think some of you might have seen already a few times. This is a self-made, it's basically donated parts, but, from different places. But we created the self-driving, self-walking aspect of it. And this we did at TEDx Boca Raton at the place where the IBM PC was invented. And we trained this dog to basically lead a scavenger hunt using blockchain augmented reality. So we got a lot of videos floating around about how we did this and how this dog led the scavenger hunt to find this room where the IBM PC was invented. And, it's kind of a, anticlimactic is actually it's a mailroom now, which just makes it even more funny. Everyone walked into a mailroom, but anyways. So that's that, and you guys have the Meetup there, and the Meetup has posts to the videos as well in the chat as well. And it's also an AI Blockchain Alliance thing. And the last time we really did a big blockchain AI thing was with Magic Leap, and this we did it for coronavirus mitigation. So in this case, we did this to track the data. This is basically early on. This is in March of last year when coronavirus people were scared and wondering it was a lot of unknowns, right? So we use blockchain basically to do a lot of things with tracking, contact tracing, things like that. And obviously we use some data visualization, augmented reality for this too. And this was a really good meetup. We had a lot of good engineers who presented here. And one was new, everyone was like really scared, and everyone was really trying to solve this problem. But anyways, yeah, let me just open it back up because I've been speaking too long, and I'm answering questions and not asking for feedback if I get on the right track. So Michelle, you can work. Michelle, maybe if you can just reintroduce what you're talking about. So Sheldon and Marina came on after you did your intro about self-driving.
Yeah, certainly. I am Michelle, and I've been working this year or last year with a company out in Texas called Progress Rail on building an autonomous driving strategy for trains for Class 1 locomotives. So this is to allow us to basically to operate the controls of a locomotive, and then make sure we can get to the endpoint without breaking the train. I think that's the biggest goal. So yeah, so that's kind of what we're working on.
Can you share any videos or your website or anything?
I'm not sure how much I can share. I need to double check to make sure what's allowed.
Well, usually the website, your public websites usually.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop this share here.
I need to find it because I don't know where on the website it is.
That's fine.
So,
so
company?
Good.
Are you guys a Caterpillar company?
Yes. Let me share my screen. Oh, I don't even there. Sure.
Your tech stack. What is your tech stack there?
I don't want to go into details about that. But basically, this is our website, and I'm not sure what much more I can show other than you can go here and check it out. But basically, these are the locomotives that we're talking about here. This is what they look like, and we have to basically put our software in a slot within the locomotive. So we're definitely space constrained. So whatever we put our software on also has to be very efficient, because you can't just bolt another computer in there at the will, right? So you kind of have to play by the dimensions you have. We have a little video here. I don't know if I can play it, if you guys will hear.
We were born disruptors, movers, shakers. It's in our DNA. And we're at it again, taking the industry to the next level. Leveraging the power of machine learning, we've connected the engineering train like never before. Automation is here. At the Pueblo, Colorado Proving Grounds, our engineering team took to the track to guide the first ever train controlled by artificial intelligence, traveling over 200 miles without human intervention, operating flawlessly with independent distributed power. Talos, our advanced train operation software, leverages machine learning and massive computing power to analyze runs and create optimized strategies specific to operational conditions for that day in train, translating to faster deployment and customized driving strategy. En route updates allow customers to modify the driving strategy depending on the current priority of the train, leading to network optimization and increased capacity. The engineer is still responsible for situational awareness, while Talos handles the operation with increasing capabilities. Talos is your path to moving forward, removing any doubt of what's ahead. Automation is the future. Bringing it to life is our passion.
Yeah, that's great, man. So let me, now we have a better idea. So let me share screen here.
So there's mostly, a lot of it is the same problems as driving a car, except in we have slightly different conditions under which we operate, right? We don't have as much of the we have a closed circuit basically, which is, I think, easier.
So I'll give you guys the actual instructions. So we actually have at CES also last year, we presented at the IEEE, Consumer Electronics Society. We had 4 presentations on blockchain there, and we basically are helping with various initiatives, basically to standardize some of our projects, including IoT blockchain. So we presented there, and there's live streams on my Twitter of our presentations. But then I'm really proud of this project, Teleconda Weather Balloons. So we actually created this with our friends in South Florida. They're actually NASA engineers that live in Texas now. But these are like basically IoT blockchain weather balloons for Africa. And we actually even, our foundation also gave grants to help fund this as well. And I think this might actually get you started, Michelle, because this actually are using, and Vincent, this might be interesting for you as well, because we're using ESP32 boards here. And this gives you step-by-step instructions on how to build this. And if you have any questions, obviously you can come back every other Monday. We'll here to answer your questions as well. But so here's the actual blueprints and everything. You guys get started, and let me show a video for everyone else who doesn't want to be all technical about what it actually does. And this was also, we actually got to present at the Linux open source conference in Europe. And we actually submitted 3 talks. This is the talk that was accepted by the Linux Open Source Society. So I guess it had some relevance to everyone in the world too. So here's the CoinDesk article about it. But I'll just play the video for everyone. So you guys don't have to read on Zoom. This can always be annoying here.
The solution of weather and climate problems is finally here. The Delocanda Weather Group takes on this challenge, making use of biodegradable weather balloons, microcontrollers, hydrogen or helium gas, and green energy. Our team of 3, based in Nigeria, Ghana, and the USA, makes use of a miner app connected to TTN and Telos blockchain to collect weather data, and our team member, Mr. Blaise Boyo, who is a Cash business developer, helps to complement the effort of our technical personnel, Emmanuel Patrick and Nick Lopez, to reward weekly launches with cash. Our data is used to make a 12-hour rain forecast to protect against flash flooding of areas with vulnerable children, and to remotely forecast weather and climate to help support farmers in West Africa. Our revenue model is gotten from SMS subscription by farmers and people who need weather forecasts without the internet. Our distant future revenue would also come from private weather companies looking to make hurricane forecasts for Africa, USA, and Europe. The hydrogen which fills up our biodegradable weather balloon is generated through PEM electrolysis, and it is powered by a green energy supply from our solar panels. We do launches every week, making use of Cantina 4610 microcontroller, pre-installed with BME280 temperature, pressure, and humidity sensor, a TTGO LoRa32 to track the GPS of our balloon, a UG87 outdoor gateway for receiving data packets from the Cantina 4610 up in the sky, and a 12 inches parachute for safe landing of the balloons and the 3D boxes without causing accidents in areas where the hydrogen or helium balloon lands. We are the Delocanda Weather Group. We are the weather and climate solution.
So it's a lot of things going on there, and I'll unpack it for you as best I can right now. The wireless technology they're talking about was LoRaWAN, and that's important because we try to only do stuff where we actually have a direct connection to the developers or the founders of a project. So LoRaWAN, we actually are one of the, we have a node, and we're going to put one on Broward, hopefully Broward main library as well, like an open source node on the main library to create like LoRaWAN, like free Wi-Fi for IoT devices all through downtown Fort Lauderdale. So we have, that's through code for Fort Lauderdale. And we also have, someone's going to build one in Wynwood, and there's one in Palm Beach and a library there. So basically, we're part of the Things Network here. It's through here in South Florida. There's stuff all over the world, basically. What that means is it's open source, free Wi-Fi, low bit rate, like 2G bit rate for any sort of Raspberry Pi IoT device, right? And once you're accepted by a node, like you're accepted by us as a node provider, your UID, your application ID will be able to run anywhere in the world that has a Things Network node. So basically, you're getting free. Once we vet you, your Raspberry Pi application will get free internet all over the world too, and vice versa. Someone in Amsterdam vets someone out there. Here in South Florida, we will give them free internet as well through our nodes at Broward Library and other places as well. So it's a global network, which you wouldn't be able to, deploy on your own. You wouldn't want to, basically. I'm sure you much rather spend your day doing other things rather than reinventing the wheel, and it's all free, basically. Obviously, you could just go to T-Mobile and stuff and pay for it as well, but what's the fun in that? So, and the other thing going on here, you notice that we call it Telos, right? That's one of our EOS chains. That's where we do a lot of our IoT projects too. So if you're interested, we actually have the Telos IoT working groups, a Telegram chat. So you can meet a lot of people you saw in the video and talk to them. And, you might never meet them in person, but, you can present with us through the next IEEE thing. Usually one person, me or someone else, presents in person, and we have everyone else on Zoom. So you can do your talk on Zoom. It's all hands-on, we're all like, and then the other thing is if you actually do deploy on Telos, we can help you with grants as well. That this Weather Balloon project got a grant from us, and it's not like it doesn't like you need the money, but the fact that like you have a public chain that vetted you and gave you a grant, it gives you like that with IEEE and exposure and the Things Network, right? It's another open source project that 50,000 people follow them on Twitter. They only follow us and a handful of people back, basically. So we actually have like a global influence in these type of open source IoT projects. They'll help you like get credibility and also get collaborators to on board for your solution, which from a commercial point of view is probably very valuable. On the other hand, too, these are open source projects, so you'll have to like be careful about what you share, basically. Because we can't give you a grant for everything. It's only proprietary, so it's up to you. You'll figure it out, I'm sure. So yeah, Sheldon. Yeah, it reminds me. I think that's something we could talk about as well at the library meetup too. Is how we'll get that started again. We got a little off track about how we're going to talk to Broward Library about creating these like blockchain-enabled wireless networks on the top of your building, and also in Coral Springs, the creation station here. So we also talked to the mayors here as well, and they all seem on board. There's no reason for them to say no, basically. It's like pretty simple concept, giving IoT Wi-Fi to people. So anyway, so yeah, so you guys kind of mute yourself. I think everyone's muted. Did I mute everyone?
No, I muted myself.
All right, cool. I'm like, everyone, yeah, open office hours is more like, this isn't supposed to be a presentation, it's more like answering questions. So let me, so we have 22 minutes left. We try to start and end on time. So, and then obviously, and we'll do this again in 2 weeks. But these are running conversations, and basically it's like usually a way we want it to work is you don't say, I'll meet up with you later. This is here and now, right? Don't think there's going to be a tomorrow, right? There might not be. If you need something to say, if you want more information, do it now or do it the next time 2 weeks. Don't try to schedule a meeting in between the 2 weeks, right? This is like a moment in time of safe space, so to speak, for you to get your questions answered. Procrastinating and saying, I'll just set up another meeting and stuff, that'll never work. You guys got to be real time about your development, and that usually works out well too. You'll get a lot more benefit out of these office hours if you take that attitude and just get your questions out now.
So in other words,
or wait 2 weeks is fine too. So, good.
So we just pop out a question. Is anybody needing this or that kind of thing?
No, I mean just no, because usually like there's Y Combinator and a lot of other type of places. They say you're either on a maker schedule or you're on a meeting schedule, right? There's nothing really in between, right? A lot of people you meet in the blockchain space, they're on a meeting schedule, right? Their goal is to just set up their next meeting, right? But we want to be on a maker schedule, right? We want you to have your creative space your ability to create something and then talk about it or present it to your peers here in 2 weeks, right? Not to, the goal isn't just to set up another meeting or network with people you meet on the call, right? To set up a meeting is, if you need something done to help you with your creations, your projects, that's what these places are for. We have other meetups, other meetings where you can be on the meeting schedule. You can just network with people and ask to add them on LinkedIn, et cetera. There's time and place for that, but we want to keep this to very people who actually want to create stuff. So. But I mean,
I'm sorry.
That's, I mean, you guys are the first times that's a concept. So a lot of people who have been coming regularly, and I like when they don't come, but I know they're still working. So I would much rather have them work on their project and then come back in a month to show their progress. And that's the value here, because we're already on too many Zoom calls as it is, right? I don't want to just add one more Zoom call to your life. So, so.
I actually wanted to know a little bit more about the Progress Rails project. Michael, are you working on that, or was that just an article someone sent?
So I'm working with that team. They've been working. So I joined last year in May to kind of help with their digital transformation. So basically, I'm helping them move to the AWS cloud. Okay. So they were doing research in the year before I joined in terms of building a model and figuring out, in terms of like what data do they need to be able to produce a model that can, sort of drive a train, right? And so they kind of got there, and now my assignment is to help them scale this up so that it can go to a place where we can iterate and develop or produce more models more often that are, have good, driving strategies.
Okay, because I was interested in if they work with the railroad crossings. Because when I think about South Florida, sorry, I think about a lot of things. When I think about South Florida, I think one of the issues with high-speed rail here is that there's no dedicated space. So when I went to Italy, you had high-speed rail almost nowhere near traffic.
Right.
Where here, you almost had to put a guard down every time a train goes by. And I imagine that limits the speed. Is there a possibility they could work on automating that in some way, that the gates come down a little faster, or some kind of solution to that issue? Which,
yeah, I mean, there's definitely automation that can be done. I think probably the biggest barrier you're going to find is just governance, right? There's a lot of rules that go with this, and that the processes that go with setting up these rules take a lot of time to change, right? So what we have in place probably is going to be in a place for a while, unless something drastic happens to where we want to, shake things up and have like a different attitude about rail, because right now rail is kind of constrained to what we have, and it looks like it's unlikely to change much.
Okay.
Except of just improvements of what that we can do within the train itself, right? And this is kind of what we're doing, right? It's like within the bounds of what we have, we can still do some improvements by having a better driving strategy than a human would.
So I'm just going to share one more thing, and then I'll shut up. But I posted this in the chat, but for people on the live stream, you don't see the chat. So let me just share the screen. So, this is the IEEE meetings at CES last year in Las Vegas. This is with Google, Intel, all their engineers. So we had a bunch of different meetings on cryptocurrency, and this one I'll show you is on the IoT blockchain aspects. I mean, obviously there's a lot of IEEE there. We participated just in the blockchain and cryptocurrency ones. Yeah, so this is you guys see it, right? My Twitter screen. You guys see the Twitter?
Yes.
All right, cool. Yeah, so this is the working groups for blockchain right there. A lot of engineers from different companies, and usually a lot of these people actually flew in from Asia. So, it's a pretty big deal. I think we were one of the few people from the U.S. actually. So this is the blockchain standards, IoT trust standards, blockchain standards for IoT working group. This is why I posted in the chat. So this is a live stream. So this is the first time, and probably the only time IEEE ever let anyone live stream this. So yeah, don't why it's seems a little bit
material that is not previously.
So a lot of people are like calling in. So when you're on a part of a standards working with IEEE, for those who don't know, you have to attend a certain number of meetings. Be on a part of the working group, in addition to paying your corporate fees and stuff, your membership fees. A lot of people are like calling in. That's why they're talking there. But then the live stream itself, like you kind of washed out, but it's hard to see now. But
It's a fun video to watch.
But if you turn your volume up, you can hear what's going on. But this is kind of like gives you a taste, right? So later on, after lockdown or when we start doing more of this again, this is what hopefully you guys will get involved with your project too. We'll present this at conferences and stuff. So one person will be at the table, and the rest of you, whoever doesn't want to come in person, will be on the speaker phone or on the Zoom call, and we'll present the projects to the working groups for IEEE and other standards organizations. So cool, man. So we got we have 15 minutes left. So any last words, or what are your goals for the new decade 2021? What do you want to work on this year? Maybe keep you accountable. We'll revisit this in 2022, see how you guys did.
Well, I'm going to stick with Cloud, Golang, Rust, Flutter. I haven't picked a blockchain yet.
Yeah, but I mean, what do you actually want to like accomplish this year, or is that what it is?
You mean technical or non-technical? I have a bunch of tech projects that I'm working on personally.
Yeah, let's keep it tech related. Yeah.
Well, I'm very interested in microcontrollers, IoT type stuff. So, for example, I don't know if you can see this. I may have shown you this last time we talked, but this is a 5G modem, and so if you get like a little SIM card, but I can transmit.
What does 5D means? What does D stands for?
No, 5G.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's more of a marketing term than anything. It seemed I happen to be playing with the T-Mobile stuff, but basically it just packetizes traffic over cellular, and so I can send micro packets, and pay like I don't know 50 cents a month or something like that to monitor an ice maker or something, or even less than that. So so it has that benefit. The other benefit is it's always connected, and it's also very low power. So I can run this off of a battery, and as long as it's not a lot of traffic.
Like what's actionable? Like what can you be held accountable to when you actually accomplished your goal?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Like, do you have something actionable that we can like hold you accountable to as your peer group, your friends here? We can
Really,
come back a year from now if you actually did what you said you were going to do. I mean, it's for you, really. It's not for us, but something's very.
Oh yeah. No.
All right, that's fine. All right. So, Michelle.
Yeah, so I'm new to blockchain. So basically what I do have is a project in mind that my grandma, it basically comes from my grandma's time where they would pull money together every month. And then after a few months, they would elect a winner. And the winner will get the money in the pool, and then the game continues, right? So it's kind of like it's kind of a lottery where everybody wins, because at the next draw, somebody else wins. So this probably already exists, but I kind of want to recreate it as a way for me to learn, a DeFi application.
Yeah. So, so a good way to get started, usually is you go to we have a lot of tutorials. I'll pull it up. Sheldon, why don't you go?
Well, I'm a little further behind than everyone else. I'm not in the tech space. The library is having the Library Build Business Grant, which is a grant from Google that I won for the library. That's $125,000. And so we have a quarterly incubator that's happening until December 2021. So I just want to make sure that the 80 people that come through there, that at least 75% of them get to create their own tech freelance business. if I can achieve that, I'll be very happy to get at least 75% of them to start their own business in Broward.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I think like,
That's a little tall order. Do you know the success of startups?
I know, but I don't need them to succeed right away. I just need them to start it, and
I
then
know,
we can
I understand,
build on it.
but do you know the success of startups?
No, I don't right now.
2%.
We can do this.
but
I know it's hard.
I think he's talking about small business.
Yeah.
Not necessarily what we're thinking as startups, Marina.
Yeah, not really startups, but getting them to be a service-based business. So if someone needs to start a website, if someone needs to do some UX design, consulting, things like that.
Yeah, especially if it's a side gig, right? You should probably, nothing to say you failed or failed, right? You just as long as you did it and you got value out of it. So, like Michelle is like, his project, right? As long as he does it, it's a success and he got value out of it and he's satisfied. That's good enough.
Sheldon, I can tell you this much. If you succeed at even half of it, you'll be the most desirable person for VC companies ever, because you'll be able to predict who will succeed and who will not.
I'll try my best.
Awesome. Cool. Sandeep?
I want to complete my AWS certification, which I started reading now. That's my immediate goal. And also the next one is to work on that remote patient monitoring project.
Great. Yeah, it's the project that Sandeep and I are working on together.
Actually, I would like to chime in. Speaking of healthcare, I actually developed a system that a couple of years ago that became #1 in its category for cath labs. So I want to finish that. I'm actually working on version 5 of that now, and that as well as a anticoagulant management system. So I forgot about that. But that has nothing to do with blockchain.
I'm not sure because, there was a project, the same robotics lab that we use, they had a project there, not through there, but someone I met through there. Actually at FIT in Melbourne, he was driving down to that robotics lab. He did like, not necessarily catheters, but something similar, but using the, basically like measuring through ultrasound, measuring something that happened to do with heart for catheters later on and for some sort of surgery. But he's doing it as a form of like internal telemetry for heart surgeons using 3D MRI stuff. And that's the thing where he kept trying to figure out like how to take the software he was using. Basically, it's like basically open source. It's called like CardioSim or something. It's basically one of the popular open source softwares. And how do we basically validate that data? Because anyone, including like a high school student, can download that data, right? You don't want to like download that program. You don't want a heart patient to basically use data downloaded by a high schooler as opposed to your actual surgeon. So there's always something, even something very simple, just to get started, right? Having any sort of like blockchain aspect will, I think, increase interest a lot amongst our community.
The only reason why I would consider using blockchain for my healthcare stuff is for billing and for justification of a procedure.
Yeah, that's something. I mean, the reason I think it could be helpful is also think about Pokemon AR, right? Pokemon augmented reality. I mean, it got huge recognition as an augmented reality game, even though like 99% of the time you're not using the augmented reality function. But if it wasn't for the augmented reality, it wouldn't have had that sizzle, I think. Or just another game, another mobile game, which would have been fine, I guess, to have the Pokemon branding. But without the Pokemon branding, then I don't think we would have cared. So, but anyways, yeah, great. That's good, Vince. Yeah. It's awesome, man. Marina, you're last for.
I want to be the very first blockchain project who does not overestimate the dates of succeeding.
The dates of what?
of succeeding. You know how the Ethereum said we're going to be done this month, next month, 3 months from now, 5 months from now, and they keep extending their deadlines. I want to be the very first one that does not do that, that estimates it correctly.
Yeah, that's actually very interesting. They say like basically one of the measures, there's a few measures of success of like what becomes a unicorn or a very long-term unicorn. And I think that's one of the measures of success, right?
I did not know that, so you can't ask me right or not. This is my own idea because I know how frustrated we all were with Cardano, with the original Ethereum, with Ethereum 2.0, or any other projects that never anywhere close to being on time.
Yeah. So what I was going to say is, it's not the dates; it's the people who are very optimistic about dates that don't succeed, because inevitably you're going to miss a date at some point or missing a goal. But just having having the process in of like always having you're optimistic about, you're going to have a long-term optimism about your project, but don't necessarily like have the short-term. It's going to get done by this date, this date, this date, right? Because eventually you're going to miss that and you're going to lose motivation. Your team's going to lose motivation. But just having the stoicism, right? You're going to get through this, all the hard time, because you're going to have a future that's very bright. I think that's one of. I mean, there's a lot of things that go on with what makes a successful startup, but that's one of the things. Is you're in it for the long haul.
Good to know. I did not know that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not from startup world. People adopted that. It's actually from prisoners of war, actually. The prisoners of war, basically, that got through it successfully, didn't go crazy or didn't lose hope, are the ones who weren't optimistic about their time as prisoners, basically. Basically, they knew at some point they would have, their life would get back on, and this will be a defining moment of their life. They'll grow stronger or whatever they thought. But they weren't going to say, I'm going to get out the next, like, I'm not going to be home by Christmas, right? I'm not going to be home by this date, that date. They didn't have those short-term goals. So the optimists were the ones who didn't make it in prison or prisoners of war, basically, because inevitably they would have been disappointed. But the ones who just had the long-term happiness, or think someday something's going to get better. We just have to fight through our current thing right now. Those are the ones who made it and were able to get the most out of that experience, which was terrible for most people. But anyways, yeah, it sounds like it's a good. I believe in you. So.
Hey, Sheldon, do you have any people in your program doing property management or healthcare management?
Not in the current cohort, but we're going to open it up this month to get a new set of 20. But I don't know yet. I don't know if we do an application process, so I'll keep an eye out for it.
Is there any people who are doing anything related to blockchain in your current cohort of 20?
No, we have some visual designers. We have some consultants. We have someone who's doing a patent right now. But no one that technologically far along, just because we're trying to get people who couldn't get into tech because of certain barriers. So we're trying to break down those barriers of costs by teaming up with General Provision to provide skill building workshops. And then we're trying to provide them with a network with mentors with the cohort. So I don't think we have someone that far along, or we will ever get someone that far along until the end of the process.
So maybe that's what Marina can offer. I know you're looking for speakers. I mean, obviously I'll be a speaker in some of our group, but I think having a generalized knowledge, I think too.
I'm trying to understand something fundamental about your project, which I'm a little confused about. I admit I got a phone call in the middle of whatever you were saying that I had to get off and pay attention to for a few minutes in the middle of it. But I don't understand. I'm not in Florida, so maybe things are very different in Florida. During COVID, since people don't, one of the advantages of accelerator or whatever you want to call it is by being around people who are also trying to do a startup or a similar thing, and they all, encourage each other, blah, 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 blah. During COVID, they can't come on premises, right?
No, they can't come on premises. We don't do in-person workshops. What we do is we have co-working sessions. Then we have a session where a mentorship session as well. And then we also have a Slack channel where they communicate with each other at any time.
Right. But since they're probably doing, their own thing, which is kind of different. I mean, again, maybe I misunderstood something. I'm just trying to understand the fundamentally, not because
Marina, you're in LA, right?
No, I'm in Cambridge.
Okay, yeah, sorry, yeah.
So the reason I'm asking that question is because I believe that we're in it for a long haul. We'll be looking like a space alien like Sheldon for 4 to 5 years to come.
So are you familiar with CIC up in Cambridge, Marina?
Yeah, I know them very well, the venture company.
So we have that here as well in Miami. In fact, some of the videos I showed you today were filmed at CIC here in Miami, at University of Miami. So
yeah,
at CIC, it's not all tech entrepreneurs, right?
Well, the original CIC were all tech entrepreneurs. Okay. And then when they start splitting up, when they got, 5 more buildings in Kendall Square and so forth, they start being, more open to like food, especially the one in Boston has like food entrepreneurs, and it has, I can't think, I'm sure they have something else, but this is the only ones I think I've met.
So what we have, so there's CIC here, but also what Sheldon mentioned is general provision. I think that'd be more similar to there's even like architects and stuff, and general provision people who are like need a space to branch out. There's even people who have day jobs at startups like Magically Appear who also have a private space at general provision too. They're doing their side gig. They're making a game or something on their own that they don't want to do at work. So I
guess I think of gaming is also tech. Maybe you don't. Maybe I need to reframe my thinking.
Yeah. So one of the big things that like they're trying to do here, not just in Miami, but a lot of cities too, they're trying to like they don't want the tech people to be operating in silos, because that doesn't benefit the rest of the community. And also it doesn't benefit the tech people as much either, because they need customers as well. So the one big thing that I think that, the people here in South Florida are doing, the government agencies and the ecosystem builders, is they're now, even us as startup people too, we're not operating and we attend all the workshops and help with the workshops too. We're not just like speaking to our own tribe, so to speak too, because it doesn't benefit. Honestly, the amount of tech jobs you can create in a startup is minuscule compared to, the benefit that we can provide in general for actually more open. I think that's the good thing about Miami is the tech ecosystem is very integrated into the society here. It's not like a separate thing.
So that's not the question I was trying to ask. I was trying to find out the incubators in a day of Corona, since I believe in it for the long haul. What exactly are they providing for the participants?
So these are mostly people who are just starting up. So you can, let's see, the first class is usually getting clients and also seeing what kind of skills you already have that you didn't know about. So, I mean, this is really just getting from the startup. Yeah.
Okay. So you basically provide them online support in their journey.
Yes, that would be a good way of putting it.
Okay. I just wanted to be clear because, I again, I did not know. I mean, we were in an incubator, but for like 6 months or whatever. But again, they provided us a space for talks, conferences, other companies that are working on blockchain and so forth and so on. Since it's not available, I was just mesmerized what exactly being in an incubator provides during the age of Corona.
So I just posted a VR video, VR live stream, one that I taught a couple years ago this actually is for Hack Miami, like a hacker space, but they actually used the same location right outside their door. You can actually see Sheldon's office where he's sitting right now in the background. This is back when YouTube was a little bit buggy for the VR. That's why it's not rendered properly, but that's why it looks a little strange. But it's a 2.5 hour. This might be interesting, Michelle, too. Basically, it's an IoT augmented reality workshop I taught where Sheldon is right now. This is from 2018, so obviously it's out of date. But yeah, so basically the tech people, and there were a lot of like kids here too who just came from the library, just came with their parents, didn't even know what's happening. We brought all these toys out. We had a lot of hologram generators, AR, VR headsets, a lot of hands-on workshops, robots and stuff. So.
Any 3D printing?
Yeah, well, Bob, they already had that, so we didn't have to bring that. But yeah, Bob talked about that, Sheldon's colleague. But yeah, so Sheldon, so yeah, definitely.
You know Sheldon live, right? Praveen.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we do know each other.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So Sheldon, put us down for for teaching a workshop. It'll be fun, and we'll bring a lot of. I don't want just my opinion. Maybe Michelle or anyone else can also be part of it too. And basically you teach what you most want to learn too. So it'll give you an option to learn something more. You're going to be teaching it too. Michelle, everyone else is new. But we'll bring people on board. A lot of the people here in Miami too, who are also who also want to start teaching too. There's be a good opportunity for them to get started teaching in the blockchain space.
I kind of actually like teaching myself, but I find teaching technology remotely is just as effective as doing a classroom. And but what people really need is mentoring. They may be somebody that just shows up with a problem, and they don't know where to go. Like what technology stack to use, what should be how should they approach the problem, that sort of stuff. So
when you're teaching technology online, when you say it's just as effective, how do you know when you can't see their eyes if they understood or not?
When you press the button, does it blink? Basically, if they get it to compile, they get it to lint, that kind of thing. So, and if they don't, then you show them the correct code, and they can figure out what they did wrong that way.
I think people learn different ways. Like I learn very little sometimes in the classroom myself. I have to do it on my own. So it depends on you, I think.
I find that way of teaching produces not programmers, but the people who, when you give them an assignment to do, they go on the internet, they Google what's there, and then they try to take pieces of code. And most of the time, they don't take the most optimal pieces of code. When they can't compile, they take bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger piece. And even though it needs to be only a couple of lines, sometimes it takes hundreds of lines of code because they can't compile any other way, and they don't really understand what the code does.
Yeah, the one way to avoid that, I've been talking to some of the coding schools down here about that too, because especially when usually people come to us for two reasons. One is they want to learn about blockchain, or two, they want to learn about game development. And usually when you go to a coding school, right, since people are paying a lot of money, they want advanced stuff. But yeah, that's usually the wrong way to go, because that's exactly what happens. They become Stack Overflow type programmers. They're copying and pasting Stack Overflow. But I think starting from first principles, like Elon Musk does, is the way to go. So usually we start out with creating a cube on the screen and letting it move, And once you can, it's not a hello world type thing. It's more useful for that. But giving that first principle, gets you away from, just being Stack Overflow completely. Because once you have the basic first principles down, then you can start copying and pasting. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that. But if that's all you're doing, you don't understand what's happening. And that's the thing of where the coding boot camps and some of the classes get off track is, first of all, they're going too fast. people are just trying to keep up, and they get, it's not like they have a million other things to do. It's not like the coding boot camp guys, persons. That's their job, right? They assume everyone else is as interested in what they're doing as they are, especially if they pay money. But that's not necessarily true, basically. So you have to really keep it very simple at first, but then useful later on, where people can learn on their own if they want to. But we don't want to give people a false sense of accomplishment because we give them a certification or something. We do give people certifications. We sign them. With Bob signed this IoT certification. We give them a vegan cookie too, as we signed the cookie as their trophy. But it's something accomplishment too. But basically, we make people know that they accomplished something important because they did something simple. And that was more important than doing something complex, because at least something simple, they own that too. Because at the end of each workshop, basically, you have a working game or working application. You didn't just sit there for an hour staring at me. So we usually make people bring a laptop. We don't have a laptop. We give them colored pens, colored pencils, and paper. So everyone's doing something. They're not just, no one's there just watching. That's bad energy in the room at a workshop. It's just watching someone else work. So, if it's too hard, we also have a transcript. They can just copy and paste. At least they're copying and pasting, they're clicking around, right? They're not just zoning out. So there's different things going on, and we're also modifying our techniques too. But, I'm sure, everyone learns different ways. But yeah, it's a very good point, Marina, because I definitely have been through so many workshops where I don't remember what I listened to a week later.
Well, I've learned that point from Tango. Sometimes when I get really encouraged by somebody, I choose to teach Tango. I've been dancing Tango for a long time. And everybody wants to learn the fancy things. And I always explain to them that once you learn how to stand on the floor, everything else could be added to it. But first and foremost, you need to learn to stand on the floor. And people say, well, I already know how to stand. I'm like, yes, I understand that you know how to stand as a human, but now you need to learn to stand as a dancer. And they say, oh, it's the same thing. That's easy. I'm like, well, actually, it's not. And if you don't learn how to stand on the floor with, both feet firmly planted into the floor, or one at whatever different times you need to, it's like putting the toys on a Christmas tree without fixing the stand underneath it. It will fall down and break all your toys. But people don't really want to do it. They want to do fancy things. They're not interested in fundamentals.
Yeah. That's where I think people fall down, because they also get they lose that hunger too. It's like these people who go on cruises, right? They feel like they know what places they went to because they spent an hour there on some island. They feel like they know that island. I'll never have to go back. So I'm saying that for Michelle from Aruba, basically. I spent an hour at Aruba. I've been to Aruba apparently, so I don't need to go back there. So my cruise ship, I waved to Aruba as my cruise ship passed by or something. So I've been to Aruba. Yeah.
I've been to
Epcot. 50,000 foot altitude is, you start there, but you don't end there. Anyways, yeah, we try not to go over too much. So we want to give people courtesy, to do other things during the day. Some people feel like they have to go to the end of the meetup too. So I want to end the meetup on time.
I think a really good meetup concept would be where you start bringing in people that are non-technical but experts in a particular field. You brought in some cardiologists, for example, or even some healthcare administrators, especially, and just let them vent, and then let us tech people listen to them vent, and then then we can kind of come up with ideas on how to resolve their issues or even begin trying to tackle them.
Yeah, that's fine. We're a little bit full up with everything we're doing, but if you want to run with that, then we have obviously a lot of conferences and things coming up, including eMerge and I'll be in LA and San Francisco a lot this year too. So we'll get a lot more people on the West Coast involved. But yeah, if you want to run with it, we'll support you.
Yeah, I'm going to be in San Francisco later this year too. I'm swimming Alcatraz in Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh, that's awesome. Cold immersion therapy.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Yeah, nice meeting everyone. I put my contact on the chat, and Sheldon, we'll keep in touch, and we'll hopefully schedule something like real quick. And Michelle, like, send me a message, and I'll add you to our IoT working group on Telegram. And Cindy,
Awesome.
we'll just hang out. You know, we'll work on the. And Marina, yeah, welcome back to the. Glad you came back in a new decade. So sounds like you're going to work on some exciting things this year and be very practical about your deadlines. And then see you in Alcatraz.
What's in Alcatraz? I missed it.
I swim Alcatraz every year.
Ah.
I'm a swimmer, so I swim. I do a lot of swimming in San Francisco Bay Area.
So how long is the swim?
It's as the bird flies. It's a mile and a half.
Oh, so it's not that long.
It's easy, piece of cake.
The question is how
It's freezing though.
I was just gonna say, how cold is the water?
High 50s.
My God. So do you wear a dry suit?
Nope, just my skippies.
Oh, Jesus. Um,
All right, guys. Well, let's end this now. You guys can keep in touch.
Happy New Year.
All right, guys.
Have a good night, everyone.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Happy New Year to everyone.
Happy New Year's.